right, we are live with Masks of Nyarlathotep. This is, I can't remember what episode. A lot. So we are going to pick up the following morning. As you might recall, you did some stuff. It was Saturday night when you went and visited Habibi and her darling child, and then returned home afterwards. So I'm going to mark off Saturday, and so you guys were tired, as we discussed, and went to bed and reconvene the following morning. So we're going to pick up at your usual breakfast meeting the next morning, and Alice has just arrived. Thaddeus is still upstairs, as he often is.
And Natalya would most likely be the first one there, I'd say. She's usually up pretty early, though she has been sleeping in a bit later than usual. Usually staying up late now and drinking a little bit too much before she goes to bed. She's up early as always, as early as she can get, and sitting down, and she's got her notes out, waiting for the others, eating scones.
And Shelley will come down shortly after and greet Natalya with a little tight-lipped smile and a nod and sit down. Oh, Thaddeus isn't here yet. What a surprise.
No, it seems like it's usual that he's not here. Though I do have some things that I've been thinking on and thought I would bring up to the group.
Oh, that's good. I was hoping that our last meeting would have, with the widow, would have let us, given us a few more leads to track down, but it really didn't. So, yeah, I think we need to talk about anything else, any other ideas, and certainly if you've thought of things that we need to discuss. Alice is supposed to meet us this morning, isn't she?
Yes, I'm not too sure exactly where she is, and Natalya takes the scone she has and rips it in half. I do hope she comes soon. She does seem more punctual than Thaddeus.
Yes, I'm sure she'll be here. Do we already have some tea on the table?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're getting used to your routine. You barely have to ask for anything anymore. They just, when they see you, they just bring what your usual is, unless you tell them you want something different.
How did you sleep last night?
That's a good question. Did Natalya have any...
No, she slept all right, a little fitfully, but no dreams that stayed in her memory. Let's put it that way.
As far as I know, no, I slept fairly well, I'd say. Though I am doing the Thaddeus method of drinking heavily before bed.
Well, from what you've described, I can understand why. Doesn't seem like a very good permanent solution.
It is something.
That it is. I can't say I would do differently.
Well, until I can find something else to kind of quell these dreams, I think drinking is the best option.
I'd say Alice probably walks in at this point.
Yeah, Alice walks in and, as always, hands off her umbrella to an attendant. walking up to the table, since she knows where you all always sit anyway. She sits down. Good morning. She seems a little tired, and perhaps a little frustrated, as she begins pouring herself some tea.
Oh, hello. You seem a little tired this morning. Did you sleep all right?
I got a little bit of sleep, but there were just some things that bothered me last night.
Were you having dreams?
No, nothing of the sort.
Oh,
After
good.
my lunch with my uncle yesterday, I decided to finally go through some of my father's belongings. I was particularly interested in a personal journal that I know he kept. However, as I opened the box, it wasn't there.
Oh. Do you think it's perhaps packed somewhere else?
It shouldn't be. My uncle swore that all of my father's possessions were in this box, and a series of the boxes that he gave to me, of his books and professional research, but it wasn't there.
Had you just assumed that the journal was with the books, or did you know that it was there at some time? I guess my question is, could the journal have been put somewhere else, or left somewhere else? Was it certainly with his other books? Had someone seen it?
No, it wasn't with the other books. It should have been in his personal belongings. It's just a single box that I had off to the side, for when I was ready, but it wasn't there.
And that is when Thaddeus comes down and joins the table. You see the three women having their conversation. The waiter brings your usual, whatever that happens to be.
I hope everyone slept well.
Well enough, yes. So we were just talking about Alice and missing journals from her father. So you said this was from you got these from your uncle, yes?
Yes, when my father died, all of his possessions went to my uncle, and he was kind enough to pass them along to me. But I'm thinking either he didn't give me my father's journal for whatever reason, or someone else got to it. I don't know.
Do you think, was he close to anyone else that he might have left it in their possession?
He was close to Arthur Penhew, and by proxy, Mr. Gavigan.
Oh, well, that's not good news.
No, not at all. I think I need to call my uncle, but I'm not entirely certain how he'll take the news of me asking.
Well, he's your father. It's certainly your right.
It is, but he's very much obsessed with me moving past all of this, simply becoming a wife, a mother, settling down. But I keep insisting that I want to finish what my father started. It's been a large conflict between me and my uncle over the past few years.
I've been there. I understand the difficult position that you find yourself in. Perhaps all Natalya does as well. There's certain expectations put on us, isn't there?
Well, personally, I've gotten past the childbearing stage, though I did not have a husband when that happened.
You
So
seem
I
the
just
kind
need
of woman who doesn't mind what other people say about you anyway. We're strong enough to ignore it anyway.
I try. But back to you, Alice. Don't let him attempt to strong-arm you into this marriage thing. I think you've much more to offer than becoming a simple wife.
Alice just kind of gives Natalia a light smile. Thank you. I hope I'll be able to prove that.
I find if they do not have it proven by your words, you can also prove it by force. Either way.
Thankfully, we don't live in an age where he can really force the issue, I think. I have to say, I've been a bit envious sometimes of your relationship with your daughter, Natalya, but motherhood is a noble calling, but it's a calling. You have to be called to it, and if you don't feel that, then I think you do it a disservice.
Natalya, she kind of pulls a bit of a sour face, sucking in her cheeks a bit. I did not originally choose to have my daughter. But, well, we have a strained relationship as is. I still love her very much, and I do hope she turns out to be the best woman possible. But I did not feel the calling to motherhood, as you say.
Well, I think you've done a good job regardless.
I hope so. It's all you can feel. It's hard when a child looks at you with disappointment. You just have to push through.
Someday, hopefully she'll understand. No, you said that, you had something to share with us.
Yes, though I think we should look into this journal as well. I have a feeling if your uncle does not have it, then Mr. Gavigan does. I have feelings that he is greatly tied to all of this.
I believe that Mr. Gavigan is hiding many things from me. If my father's journal is one of them, I wouldn't entirely be surprised. However, I hope a simple phone call to my uncle will prove enough, and that he simply has it and forgot to give it to me.
Incidentally, you know your uncle's still in London, at his usual hotel.
Or I
So,
could
if you wanted
simply
to
pay him a visit.
That would be probably the best, though. I will share my opinions on Gavigan afterwards, but I did have some news. Well, not news, but new things to talk about.
What was that?
Well, my she looks a bit more lighthearted. She kind of looks off to the side and scratches her cheek with her hand. A bit of a smile coming on her face. My date with Alan did provide some useful information. We talked about the case, the Egyptian murder case. You know how there was two other people who were killed who were not of basically not the Egyptian descent, yes?
Oh, yes, I was quite curious about that.
So we talked about it. Apparently one of them was a homeless man. We could not get much information on him, but the second apparently was a shopkeeper. He had a general goods store near the Soho area. Poor folk used to go in there and get their goods. He apparently was a very cruel man. Had a small little, I think, gang behind him or something like that. Used to kind of hike up the prices, bully the people around there. He was also one of the ones killed in this brutal fashion.
Interesting. Huh.
And apparently...
That doesn't seem like typical cult behavior.
No, I have a feeling... Apparently the days leading up to his murder, he was becoming a bit more erratic, more aggressive, if I'm remembering correctly. But it was 2 years ago this happened. I asked Alan if he had looked into the shop. He said he wasn't able to as it was boarded up, but I was thinking if it is still boarded up or even we can see which owner it has changed hands to. If it is closed still. If it's closed, we can go look at it. See if there's anything interesting in maybe the downstairs.
Yes, there may be things that the police didn't know to look for.
Oh, I don't know if it's know to look for or decided to miss. You see, 3 years ago, well, I think it's about 3 years ago, before the case passed on to Barrington, Inspector Amunden had the case. He apparently got a big lead. He said he was very close to cracking the case before he disappeared. The police would not say anything on it, and then the case changed hands to Barrington.
So perhaps he's another victim.
I do think so. I think maybe this is just a hunch of some sort. The homeless man that they did not get any information on. Maybe, I don't know, I should have asked Alan how long ago the homeless man, if it lined up with when Amunden died. Could have been the same man. They just tried to cover it up.
Oh, that's brilliant.
If it's true, it's brilliant. If not, then it's just another theory.
Well, it
But
seems we may be able to go and search this abandoned place at the very least. See if your theories hold any.
I do hope so. Though I don't know if we should really tell much to Barrington. He's either an idiot, which is confirmed, or he is working with the cult. I do not trust any officials in this. I don't trust Gavigan, because he's been helping out with this case since the beginning, and they have not gotten any solid leads. Therefore, I am assuming he's leading them off the path, and he is responsible for these murders in a way. I know that's a bit of a leap, but it's been too long without them having really anything. At least they covered it up in New York. Blaming other people. They just seem sloppy here.
Well, you do remember the last time. We will be seriously outmanned if we find another group like we did.
It is true. We need to be careful, but I just have a feeling there's something down there.
Well, that may be true, but I guess I would hate to have a repeat.
Natalia kind of stops a moment and looks down at her hands. And she just kind of takes a scone and starts eating it.
Shelley just looks down at her tea and stirs it. Have you thought about hiring anyone else, Mr. Pepin?
I'm not sure how much good it would do to try to find someone here. We don't know if they're tied in or not. I mean,
That's true.
I'd hate to be in a spot where we could be turned on. That, and he looks at everybody. I feel like there's enough possibility of people dying without adding more to the group.
Then, Thaddeus, what do you propose we do?
Well, that I wish I could say. I mean, we could go and look and see what we see, and maybe it's nothing, or maybe there's clues and nothing's going on there, or we end up somewhere where we end up in New York all over again. I mean, totally excluding Detective Barrington may not be a good idea, but even though we don't know nothing about him, whether we could trust him or not.
Do you suggest that we go armed? I know that's somewhat different here in London.
Well, I still haven't got the word back, but my pistol, I do have the 3 shotguns.
Yes, just carrying them is... I don't know if we're even permitted. I wonder...
Nonsense. It'd be allowed to carry the guns. They are quite good sports with hunting and stuff. We just have to not look like a band of hoodlums, which I assure you we do not.
Well, I trust you on that then.
But do we want to take them with us is the question. I don't feel like we want to be in a position where we have to use them.
Yes, but do we want to be in a position where we have to use them and we don't have them?
Yeah, this is true.
It just... if we don't investigate things like this, we're not going to find out exactly what's going on. If we miss opportunities, then that's an issue. I know there is a danger in going there, especially if what happened last time happens again. But
I
we
just
need-
think I just think that we shouldn't not investigate this stuff, but perhaps maybe trusting more in a local law. Maybe it could have helped out better in New York if, I don't know, found a non-corrupt police officer.
You see Natalya actually kind of cracks up at the non-corrupt police officer. Thaddeus, really? Were you not reading Elias's notes though? This is word hold no weight for you. We can't trust them.
What was your take on Inspector Barrington, Natalya?
My take on Inspector Barrington? Based on the fact that there's been, again, no breaks in this case since he has taken it, I do think that he's absolutely incompetent, or the fact that he's part of it and he's being able to hide it very well. He's taken with Alice, of course, probably due to her high standing, but I don't trust him. I don't trust that he's not going to go back to Gavigan and report. I don't trust that he's not going to tell Gavigan about Alice's involvement. That can happen. And then Gavigan's eyes will be further on that, if they're not already.
Speaking of Gavigan, what I wouldn't give to give his private office a search. I wonder if we could arrange that at some point through some sort of ruse.
We could. I could play stupid again and lead them around.
Or one of us could ask for an appointment and the other person call him out all of a sudden. I don't know.
I could punch him out. I haven't been in a fight in quite a while, and as long as there's no knives involved.
Well, Alice, besides the possibility of it being with Gavigan, do you have any other ideas for pursuing your journal? Your father's journal?
Only my uncle. And I'll be able to find that out pretty quickly. But I am afraid that it's with Gavigan, as well as a number of other books that my father used to base a lot of his research from.
Even if we didn't find the journal, I suspect that there's something interesting we would find. We also have the asylum. That's a trip in and of itself.
If possible, I do agree that we should go to the asylum to speak to this man. I think it is very important, but if we could do it maybe Monday. I have another date with Alan tonight.
Oh. Well, of course, I think if he's been in the asylum this long, he'll still be there on Monday.
Hopefully. Plus, I don't know if they take visitors on Sunday.
Well, let's plan on that. But as for investigating this abandoned storefront, are we putting it to a vote, or are we going to come to an agreement? Personally, I think we need to exercise caution. Certainly more caution than the previous encounter, but I'm with Natalya. If we aren't going to take any risks, we're never going to make any progress.
It's not necessarily about not taking a risk. It's just scooting those that could help us, even if we may or may not trust them.
I'm unsure exactly of the threats that you're speaking of with this past encounter. I wasn't there, but I agree with investigations such as these. You need to be able to take risks. And This may simply be a risk that needs to be taken. Just need to do what we can to be as prepared as we can be.
Yes, that's all we can really do. I don't think we should drag anyone else into this, let alone Barrington.
Yes,
But
that
we
will
Go ahead.
probably be for the best.
We should maybe... this might seem a bit crass, but find out, see if we can find out exactly what happened to Investigator Amundsen. Either if we... maybe see if we can look into death records, see if he is deceased. Maybe see if we can find out how, when.
If your theory is correct and they played it off as a homeless man perishing and being murdered, then perhaps they won't have his records on file.
True.
Even then, that may be an answer in and of itself.
Maybe I could ask Alan again when the homeless man died and when Amundsen was replaced.
I think if you do find a close connection, that may be all the answer we need. Maybe it's not certain, but like...
True. Easy enough to extrapolate. Which means that the police are definitely in on it.
Or some of them were. It's hard to involve an entire police force in a conspiracy. Just too many people to speak of the secrets. But there's no way to know which ones are. Well, shall we try to investigate the storefront during the day this time?
I think we should maybe appear more casual. Go by, see if it's closed up. And then afterwards see if we can find some sort of public record to see who bought it. If it is still if it is open, someone bought it. If it is still closed, plan to come around later and investigate.
Perhaps we can pose as investors. Someone who wants to buy the storefront.
We could do. We just need to speak to the city, then. I've never brought a business. Thaddeus, this would maybe be your area of expertise.
When I
yes.
bought my home, I went through some sort of an agency.
Are you comfortable with this plan, Mr. Pep?
Well, I mean, that'd be the best way to figure out if the property is owned and who owns it, maybe. I'm not quite familiar who we'd have to talk to with the city to figure that out.
Would Alice know that?
Know what?
Know who to talk to in the city about, like, purchase records or purchasing, like, this
Yeah,
property?
I mean, there's a city hall with public records.
Are there agencies that deal with buying and selling real estate back this far?
I'm sure there are.
Might be
Probably
through
mostly
lawyers.
with attorneys, and it usually would be with significant properties. A small shop might not rate interest.
Well, I know that within City Hall, you can access public records to see who owns what and from whom they bought it from. At times, when there are larger pieces of real estate that are being sold, lawyers will get involved, but I'm not sure if that would have been the case for this.
Well, let's just go take a look at the property. Maybe we'll be able to see something, maybe not. It may not be nothing of interest to us.
The head waiter does come over. It's a new chap. He's not as familiar with you. He says, "Do you want anything else, or shall I send the bill to the room?"
He looks around. Anybody want anything else?
No, I think I am content.
I'm fine, thank you.
Very well. Enjoy your day. To all of you. And he has his people start cleaning up.
Well, should we head to the city hall then?
Sure, that will be the safest option. Let us go.
Okay. When you go out, it's actually quite cold out, and there has been actually some snow overnight. So it's a different different feeling out there. But you can get to the city hall with little trouble. And so when you arrive, I assume Alice is going to do the talking. Yes?
Yeah, I would
I
imagine
think so.
so.
Okay. So first of all, why don't you attempt an appearance check to see how seriously they take you? Oh, okay. Again, you have made quite the impression. This clerk is falling all over himself to help you. So you actually, yes, it's the queen herself. So you don't even have to, you don't have to charm him or anything. You want records, and you can see that he has other things to do, but he makes a point of stressing that he's happy to put those aside to find the information you're looking for. And I assume you give him the name, which I don't remember if I told you the name. I don't believe I did, but you would have the you'd have the address from Al.
Okay, yeah, I
Alan.
didn't have the name of it.
So
yeah,
he'll look all that up. So it takes about half an hour for him to find the records. And he comes back and he says, "Oh, yes, here it is. He says, "Yes, the shop was purchased, a little over a year ago now, in November of 23, by a gentleman named Donald Fiedler. He now runs it as it indicates here, a general store, I believe. The previous owner was a John Peakham." He says, "Was there anything specific you wanted to know about the property?"
When was the property first put on sale?
That would have been in February of 23.
Do these sort of real estate ventures generally take this long to sell?
He said it all depends on the circumstances. Let's see, the shop passed to a relative of Mr. Peakham, who, yes, resides in, oh, good heavens, all the way up in York. He says, so I'm not at all surprised that it might have taken some time. He says, distant, in geographic terms, a distant relative often takes time to sell property. Who knows what delayed the sale?
I understand. Do you happen to have the name of the relative?
Yes, indeed. It's a Margaret Peakham.
Thank you very much. You've been most helpful. Do you have any questions? And she's gonna look towards the other three.
So Margaret Peakham of York?
Yes, I have the address here. He gives you the address if you want it. He's actually more than... He's excited to write it down for Alice.
Thank you. That slipped my mind. That is very helpful.
Alice, this probably seems like a very ignorant question. Is York by Yorkshire or in Yorkshire?
Great question.
It is the seat of Yorkshire, yes. It's the great city of Yorkshire.
Yes, it's the seat of Yorkshire. I'm sure we'll be able to stop there. The asylum is up there too, right?
Yes.
I'm sure we'll be able to stop there on our trip on Monday.
Yes, she might know some details about the property at the time of the sale. Well, that's all I can think of.
Mr. Pepin, Natalia?
No, I don't have any other questions. But thank you very much for your help.
Just on a whim, why don't we look up Habiba's address and who owns that? I don't know how she's paying the bills. I wonder who owns that property.
That's a good idea.
Yes, I'm afraid we met a friend in dire circumstances the other day. I was wondering if you could show me the records for this address, and she'll write it down.
Okay. He runs off to find that information as well.
So helpful.
Yes, you seem to have been fawning over here.
Don't forget to ask him to kiss the ring when he comes back.
What? No, I don't. That's not it at all. He's just very good at his job.
He seemed very good at making an impression on people.
Yeah, he comes back. It takes him a little time, and he is annoying other people in the office. You see one of them had quiet words with him before on his way back with the document, and he kind of puts him off and shoos him, or poo-poos his his effort. The other employee is obviously annoyed but goes back to his work. He says, I have it right here. It appears that her building is owned by an Omar Shafir. I looked up his information, and there is an address if you're interested in that.
Yes, that would be fantastic.
And he scribbles that down for you. It is in Soho.
Okay. And would this be the place to look up death records as well?
Yes.
Should we go ahead and
Yes, why
see
not?
what... Very well. I deeply apologize, but one last thing. I was wondering if you could show us the death records for investigator... I forget his name.
Amandine.
Yes, Amandine.
Do you have a first name?
I don't think I got the first name. No.
And who was this? An investigator, you said?
Yes, he died within the last few years.
Do you know what body he was with as an investigator?
I'm assuming it would be the same one that Barrington's
Mhm.
from.
Yes,
For sure.
it's variously referred to as New Scotland Yard or the Municipal Police.
It was the Municipal Police Department.
All right, he goes off, and he comes back about 45 minutes later, and a couple of his employees are in an uproar now. He has to kind of put them off long enough to tell you, and then he says, "I'm afraid I couldn't find any record of an investigator, an Inspector Munden. No death certificate. I'm very sorry, and I'm afraid I'm going to have to take care of some other business now. But if you want to come back tomorrow, I could try looking again."
No, it's quite alright. I completely understand. Thank you so much for dedicating so much time to helping us.
And he blushes a little. He says, it was more than a pleasure. I do hope you'll consider coming back tomorrow. I really... hopefully things will be quieter. And I've just remembered that it's a Sunday. None of this should be happening. but any case, too late. So, yeah, he says, do come back tomorrow when I actually should be working. And he kind of smiles and yeah, and then goes to help another person who's been waiting in line and tapping their feet and giving you annoyed glares.
Well, I suppose that answers some questions, potentially.
Yes, it does give us a place to go off of when we're up in Yorkshire. I guess I'll be heading out at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we still do have the rest of the day.
I'm curious, does the address for Omar, is that anywhere near, I mean, we know it's the same area as Habiba. Is it anywhere on the same street?
You're not sure. It's not the same street name.
We could go by his home. Strong-arm him.
I don't want to do anything to get her into trouble.
I think we've perhaps troubled her enough for now. I'm not entirely sure what information we would even get out of Mr. Shapir?
I was well, mostly asking because I thought if his name comes up again, you'll know that there's some connection.
Mm. That is a good point.
Indeed. However, I don't think we need to be spending any of our time on him.
Is the Penhew Foundation even going to be open today?
Not officially, no. It is not
Not-
open to the public. Members are always welcome at any time. But if you're going to go after hours, you're supposed to make special arrangements to be let in.
Not officially, no, but members are still welcomed inside. Which you are members now, correct?
Yes, Thaddeus is.
And at the very least, Mr. Pepin and I can venture into the Foundation.
And you can always bring a guest. That's part of the deal.
And we're allowed guests, so you may join as well.
Do you want to see if we can...
Speak to Gavigan?
Try to... Yes, speak to Gavigan, maybe get a look around his office, figure out some sort of a ruse or a way to get him out of it and one of us in.
Yes, if need be, I can attempt to distract, or at least one of us can. Speak to him on things regarding, what is Gavigan like, Alice?
He's a very serious man. The definition of British gentleman. However, there's something else to him. He's very sinister, very cold, I would say. I don't much like interacting with him. I can't think of a time that I've had a good interaction with him, in fact.
I'm trying to think of something. I wonder if she reaches down and she picks up a couple of rocks off of the sidewalk. If some of us were speaking to him in the office and some hooligan broke a window, if that might call him out of it to check it out for a time.
You're suggesting we break windows in broad daylight?
Not from outside, from inside. Of course, there'd be a rock waiting at the bottom of the window, so it wouldn't appear that way.
But the glass would fall outside.
Maybe, but maybe we could pull some of it inside after it broke.
It is a plan.
It's something. I'm mostly afraid that it would go beneath Mr. Gavigan's notice and security would look into it instead.
I was hoping since it wasn't a normal opening day, it might just be him and a skeleton crew, if that. But you may be right.
Maybe. I don't know if it would be. Because we're outside of the city hall by now.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure. This might be a bit obvious or dangerous, but is an idea. Is some of us or one of us speaks to Gavigan. Maybe inquires about his helping with the case the Egyptian murders. See if you will get maybe talking on it. It is his interest what he's doing. Usually I find if you ask men what they like and what they're working on, they talk and talk and talk. Right, Thaddeus?
Yeah, that's tend to happen.
You are sometimes a man of very few words. Maybe not you.
Every so often.
Well, let's go and see if he's even there. And then I think sometimes these things are best played by ear.
I think, if you don't mind my saying, that we should enter separately. As far as I'm aware, Mr. Gavigan doesn't know that the four of us are working together. And if he were to understand that, he might be a lot more indifferent towards you.
Ah,
True. So shall we go first then, and well, you should maybe go there for a small amount of time. Maybe go to your usual reading place.
There are some books that I've been wanting to check out anyway. I can go and spend some time there and simply read. Meet up with you again afterwards.
you could... If we did want to distract him, maybe you could find some damaged books that had escaped his notice he needed to... Anyway, I think Natalya's idea of seeing what he actually has to say is an interesting...
Alright, let's call a brief intermission. And we'll come back and pick up at the Penhew Foundation.
Alright.
Secret code for I wasn't expecting you guys to do this.
Actually, it's more the bladder, but that's fine.
Fair.
Alright, we are back. And it is... The plan was to head over to the Penhew Foundation. So, let's do that, shall we? Was there any other planning before you go in?
No, I think we're going off the seat of our pants right now.
Okay. And my understanding is that Alice is going to come in after. Correct?
Before.
Before. Okay. All right.
Coming in first, getting set up with some books and all that.
Right. Okay. Yes, you've come in on Sundays before, and as long as it's during the day, you don't really have any trouble getting in. You do know that it's a very small crew on Sunday. Typically, Kinnery and Gavigan are there. Kinnery is Gavigan's assistant, if you remember. And there's usually one or two other clerks, possibly, usually only one, sometimes none, and then a security guard. So it's very lightly staffed, unless, you know, there's expecting a larger crowd of people that would have given advance warning. So you get there, and it looks pretty quiet. The gate is closed. You have to ring at the gate. And when you do so, Mr. Kinnery himself comes out to let you in. So that would indicate to you that there are not even any clerks on duty today.
Okay.
Because you know he does not like to come out and do this if he doesn't have to.
Yeah. As he comes out, she just greets him. Good afternoon. Thank you for getting the gate for.
Mr. Kinnery, he walks out and he has his collar pulled up across his neck. Now he has an overcoat kind of thrown over his shoulders. Well, yes. Come inside now, Miss Hall, Mr. Pepin, ladies.
Oh, no, the Pepin and ladies are not there yet.
Oh, I apologize. I missed that part.
Alice. Yep, it's just Alice.
Miss Hall, please come inside. And he turns abruptly and begins walking back to the Foundation. He's, of course, has a very stiff back. He's walking very erect with a sharp step through the cold air, heading back into the building.
Alice follows him back in. As she gets inside, she kicks off her boot, or she kicks kind of her boots on the ground outside, just to clear some of the snow before walking into the building. And walking in, thank you. I believe I know where to go from here.
Yeah, Thomas Kinnery pulls his overcoat off and kind of flips it around. And immediately, as he's flipping it around, places it on a hook, and from inside of his coat brings out a little brush and starts brushing off the coat. Yes, Miss Hall, go ahead and make your way in. Is there anything I can help you with?
No, I believe I'm just studying more of the usual. I know where it all is and know where I like to read.
Yes,
Imagine I'll be here for the afternoon.
Of course, if you need any assistance, please don't hesitate to ask. And he goes about brushing his coat and kind of just giving you a look sideways with an eyebrow raised.
Alright. At that, she's gonna walk down the front steps and...
Make a luck roll for me, Alice.
Okay.
Yes, you're about to go upstairs to the hall, and you can see Gavigan kind of standing in the doorway of his office area, just kind of leaning on the door jamb, just kind of watching you, and he just kind of nods his head, kind of lazily in your direction.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gavigan.
He nods and kind of stands upright, straightens his jacket a little bit, and walks over, since you spoke to him, and he says, Alice, what a pleasant surprise to see you on a Sunday again. And he smiles.
Yes, well,
his patented fake smile.
Yeah. Yes, well, I'd expect that if I've done it before, that you will eventually get used to me being around on Sundays.
He says, I sometimes wonder if you've nothing else to keep you busy, Alice. Are you making any progress?
I'm learning quite a lot, thank you. I believe my father's research to be quite important. So I'm just trying to educate myself as best as I can so I may continue it.
I see. We're still in the educating phase, are we? Well, if you do ever find out anything of interest, I do hope you'll share it with me.
Of course. I honestly just wish that there was some more books. I keep running across some references that my father makes in his notes, but unfortunately we no longer have them. Or if we ever had them.
A pained look passes over his face, and he says, I'm very sorry to hear that. If you can come up with a list of specifics, perhaps I can help you out.
You didn't give me a list of the ones that the place no longer has.
Right,
But
I
I imagine
that
she
yet.
knows a few.
Oh yes, I'm sure you have noted them all down. In your,
Yeah,
in
can
your
she
notes.
just list a few off now?
Sure. Yeah, make a psychology check for me.
I'm great at that.
Yes, he seems amused by the list that you're giving him, and he says that you know them right off the top of your head. I'm very impressed, Miss Hall. Very impressed indeed. He says, why don't you pass the list to Thomas, and I'll put someone on seeing what they might find for you. Perhaps a new set of eyes might have better luck than you've had.
Thank you, Mr. Gavigan. I appreciate your kindness. I will let Mr. Kinnery know.
Of course. Enjoy your studies. And he just kind of, I assume you go up the stairs, and he just kind of watches you go, and then you're gone.
Alright. No, she's just gonna go basically study hieroglyphics.
Okay. How much later do the three of you arrive?
Maybe like 50 minutes.
Okay. So enough time for a coffee or something, or tea. And then you show up and ring the bell, and Kinnery has to go out all again, put his coat on, and go let you in.
Yes, Mr. Kinnery shows up after you ring the bell. He walks out there with a very sour look on his face, a furrowed brow, again, collar pulled up around his neck. Yes, Mr. Pepin. Come right in, ladies. And he quickly turns around again and starts walking in his normal brisk fashion, leading you back towards the Foundation.
And Natalya enters. He does seem in a bad mood.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing what that's beneath him.
Yes, entering doors is very difficult for those high up.
It very much is.
And as he's walking back to the Foundation, he turns as you guys are talking. Well, let's hurry it up now.
Of course, Mr. Kinnery. And
Just-
Natalya.
Go ahead.
Well,
I guess we'll follow along.
All right.
So he leads you back in again to the room there, the entrance area, and again pulls his coat off and immediately reaches into a pocket and pulls a comb out and starts combing his coat off. You may make your way in, please. You know what you're looking for, or do you need my assistance any further?
well, actually, I was hoping to speak to Mr. Gavigan if he was in.
Mr. Gavigan? And what would you like to speak to Mr. Gavigan about, Mr. Pepin?
He's gonna kind of give Thomas a little bewildered. I'd rather not discuss it in front of the ladies at the moment, if that's all right with you. So.
Yes, well, of course. If it's beyond their understanding, I can appreciate that. Let's go get to Mr. Gavigan, then.
Yes.
And he turns to walk towards Gavigan's office.
As he's kind of leaving, Natalya's gonna wait until... How far away is Gavigan's office?
It's really not far inside. There's a large desk in the entry area, and if you go around that, so to the left of that desk are stairs up to the second floor. If you go around the desk, there's a hall that leads back into the foundation, and immediately on the, almost immediately on the right, I should say, is Gavigan's office area. So it's quite close, actually.
Mm-hmm. Natalia's just gonna give a once-over to look at kind of whatever Kinnery's working.
I'm sorry, a once over to see what?
Just like on Kinnery's desk. Just to see what he's doing.
There's nothing on his desk.
Is he showing Thaddeus to Mr. Gavigan's office?
He's showing us to Mr. Gavigan's office.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought he was... Okay.
I thought that it was.
I was under the assumption that Mr. Kinnery is taking Mr. Pepin to Gavigan's office.
Yeah, that's what I was under the impression as well.
He would usher his friends with him.
Okay.
And as he starts leading you towards Mr. Gavigan's office and turns around and sees that the women folk are following you, he lets out just a little bit of a sigh, his feet kind of making a cracking sound on the floor with each step, just clack, 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 as he's walking along. Very well, this way, folks. And he leads you to Gavigan's office and gives a little knock on the door.
Yes, come.
And he opens the door, pulls it open, leans in. Mr. Gavigan.
Thomas?
Yes, well, it seems we have even more guests, and we are fortunate that Mr. Pepin even brought along his own guests. He would like to speak to you if he could, sir.
Oh, what a pleasant surprise. Of course, send him in.
Yes, pleasant. And Thomas moves out of the way and kind of motions with an arm into the office for Thaddeus.
Gavigan is already circling around his desk and coming towards you, putting out his hand to shake yours.
And Thaddeus would gladly shake it and put his hand on his elbow and make a form. How do you do today, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing wonderful. In fact, I felt like it was time to pay another visit here to talk to a man like yourself.
Well, you picked a good day to be indoors. We don't often get snow here in London, but you're getting a rare treat today, it seems. Thomas, do get us some tea and scones, if you'd be so kind.
And Thaddeus will look over at Shelley and Natalya. Yes, please have a seat, my ladies. Quite an arduous journey we had here to get through all the snow.
Yes.
Oh, good heavens, I hope you didn't walk. Although, perhaps you're a fellow walker, are you? I find it to be excellent for the constitution.
It's very relaxing as well.
I couldn't agree more.
So I believe the last time we met, I was talking to you about the little journey I was planning on taking to Cairo and the Egyptian area.
Ah, yes. Have you had more thoughts about an expedition of sorts? I'd love to hear your plans.
Yes. Well, that brings me to why I'm here to see you. And he'll look over at the girls and he'll look back at... Perhaps we could accompany me and then walk in the hallway so I can ask you a few questions.
I'm sorry? You'd like to go for a walk, would you?
Yes,
Suppose we could do that?
Yes.
Thaddeus, I'm tired of walking.
Yes.
My heels.
They're just not as comfortable as your shoes. I keep telling you.
Well, That is good, because the conversation we were going to have was going to be in private. I don't want to worry your minds about some of the terms we'll be speaking.
Oh, I'm so bored. Did we... This was the only place opened.
He says, well, Thomas will take care of the ladies. Mr. Pepin, if you'd like to speak with me alone.
Excellent. That'll work out just fine.
Just then, Thomas walks back in and he has a tray of tea and biscuits. He walks in and sets them down on the desk. Will there be anything else, Mr. Gavigan?
Yes, the ladies require minding, I'm afraid. Their feet hurt, you see.
Their feet hurt. Well,
Indeed.
of course they do. And he looks over at them and kind of just raises an eyebrow.
And Gavigan kind of motions out of the office and says, I'm sure Mr. Kinnery can make you quite comfortable in his quarters across the hall there.
And Mr. Kinnery motions out the door. This way, ladies.
Oh, very well. More walking.
Yes, well, walking is something that we must do around here.
Well, surely if they're tired, Mr. Kinnery can stand in here with them. We shouldn't be too long.
Make a persuade check, Thaddeus.
Well, you must make me do things I will fail. Let's see. Oh.
Ooh. He says, he just kind of looks at Thomas and kind of gives a retiring nod, as just sort of he doesn't wish to debate it any further, and he says, "Very well, ladies. You may keep your seats. Thomas, see to them if you would be so kind." Says Mr. Pepin, "I'm eager to hear what you have to say."
Yes. Well, I do appreciate your expertise. Ladies, don't worry, I shall not be long.
And Thomas turns around as Mr. Gavigan is talking to him and says, well, yes, sir, I won't leave their side a moment. If they need my assistance for any reason, I'll be here for them. Don't worry, Mr. Pepin, their needs will be met.
Of course, I have no doubt in your abilities, Thomas. And he pats Thomas on the shoulder, maybe a little condescendingly, to your eye, and walks past and joins Thaddeus.
So Thaddeus would, as he's walking next to him, would start trying to lead the walk towards the library where he knows Alice would be at. Thank you, Mr. Gavigan. I do appreciate us stepping away from the lady folk for a minute.
Do tell, I'm quite eager to hear what you have to say.
Well, as we were talking on planning the expedition, I am by far not an expert on the Egyptian customs and stuff and everything. What I was hoping was that you could give me a brief respite in what I lack here, and that way I can impress my lady friends when we do.
So you wish to be educated in Egyptian customs in, he looks at his pocket watch, in an hour?
Well, it's not. I would have a few more days in between then and now of leaving, but I kind of want to pick your mind with some of the best things to be able to look at, and ways that I can impress him if you're doing it.
Yes, indeed. He says we do have consultants available for that sort of thing. but I'd be happy to get you started.
Well, I was hoping for the best of the expert I have known, and that seems to be you. I would gladly pay money for that as well towards the foundation and yourself.
Oh my, you are quite eager, I see.
Well,
Yes.
wouldn't you be with the two beautiful young lady that I came in with?
Yes, if they could only keep up with you.
Yes. And the whole time he's talking, he's aiming to walk past where Alice is at.
He says, are all American women of such weak constitutions?
Sadly, they don't get out that much.
I see.
Yeah.
You spoil them.
Yes, well, aren't all women kind of spoiled in a way?
I suppose they are. I suppose that is true. And you've arrived at the library, and there's Alice.
So,
Although his intent seems to be to just pass by.
oh, that is perfectly fine. As Thaddeus would be walking by, he would, of course, try to draw her eye and to realize that he's with Mr. Gavigan.
He says, you remember Miss Hall, do you not?
Yes, Miss Hall.
She's one of our fixtures here, especially on Sundays, and he smiles.
Well, an education is a hard thing to grasp. So the more time spent at it, the more they learn them.
Of course. It is nice to see you again, Mr. Pepin.
Yes.
Oh, very good, Alice. A fine memory.
Yes, surprisingly fine. I don't think I make that good of an impression.
Well, I don't believe I meet too many new faces in the Penhew Foundation very often, so it's important to remember who you do meet.
It is true.
I suppose you're right. So how are things coming along, Miss Hall? You settling in
Very
all
well.
right? He's clearly trying to look and see what you're doing.
She kind of lifts up the book. I'm simply working on my hieroglyphic transcriptions.
Ah, I see.
Feel it's an area that I want to keep pursuing.
Aha. Perhaps you'll get to use it in a practical way sometime.
I very much hope so.
Yes. No doubt you'll be able to learn a lot from the museums that are around.
He says, now here,
Of course.
Mr. Thaddeus, this young lady is becoming quite an expert in her field. You might want to consider her for your expedition.
Oh,
He smiles.
do you think she would be up to the task?
You'd have to ask her. You
Well,
see, Mr. He turns to Alice. He says, you see, Mr. Pepin is embroiled in preparations for a trip to Egypt. He's not yet shared the details with me, but I'm sure it'll be quite interesting.
Oh, really? Both you and Mr. Penhew wanted me so desperately to go to Egypt, didn't you? This might be a good opportunity.
He kind of makes a frowny face when you say the desperately part, and he says, I'm sure I'm not sure what you're talking about, Miss Alice, but I think perhaps it's time for you to exercise the knowledge you've gained.
Perhaps. Have you gone to Egypt, Mr. Gavigan?
I have, on several occasions.
And what is it like?
It's very hot.
not too
And-
tired. Not,
He says, and sadly the people are just a dim reflection of what was once a great people.
It's unfortunate.
It is most unfortunate. They were the greatest empire on Earth in their time, one of the greatest civilizations, most advanced, most knowledgeable, most forward-thinking, great thinkers in their time. And now look at them, dirty and unwashed, and following a ridiculous religion. Well, what can one expect, I suppose? Time seems to erode all things, does it not?
It does. I've read little bits and pieces about an old religion, the old gods, that the Egyptians worshipped and that the Black Pharaoh tried to return. I'm interested in learning more, however I've been unable to find much information.
Yes, you mentioned. Well, get that list to Kittery and we'll see what we can do to help you along.
Of course. Thank you again.
Of course, of course. And Mr. Pep and I hope I didn't take you away from your story, or you were about to tell me your plans, shall we? And he walks away from Alice and heads back out into the hall.
You think she's up to the task of leading us to where we need to go?
I don't know about leading, but she's got a good mind, and she's certainly spent enough time studying. One can't study forever. One must get out and exercise what one's learned.
Ah, yes,
There's
the only way
theory
to
and there's
test.
practice.
Well, you have to put to test what you have learned, I suppose, as long as she just doesn't, how do you say, take us in circles. And
I doubt that.
excellent.
And in any case, you'd have the Foundation's assistance. We'd make sure you don't go too far wrong.
Yes. And hopefully you do have more than Miss Alice that would be able to help us as well when we are there.
Okay. So are you going to... Do you have actual details you want to share with him, or are you just bullshitting from this point on?
He's just going to ramble as long as it takes.
All right. I would call that a fast talk roll. But I will give you a bonus die because
Money.
you have the money, and yeah, he is. You know, he's already believing that you have some things. So, oh goodness, no.
Yeah, I'll push it.
I mean, you're okay.
Why not?
All right.
What could go wrong in all this, you know?
Yeah. Yes, you see that he's asking a lot of detailed questions the more you talk, and you have no idea how to answer them. You're not even sure where you want to go. Like he keeps trying to nail you down to a specific site or a specific thing you're trying to discover there, and you have nothing for him. And you get the sense it's becoming increasingly obvious that you haven't thought about this at all. And you can see he's growing impatient. Yes, so you can push it if you want. Otherwise, he's going to clearly call this short. You can see he's getting ready to kind of wind it up. And he's already starting to make excuses and saying, "Oh, we shouldn't leave the ladies waiting this long."
Yes, well, 5% should be easy to hit.
All right.
Kidding?
Oh my gosh. Okay,
My
he
God.
pushed it. All right.
Amazing.
Yeah, he smiles, and you buy yourself a couple more minutes, and then he says, "We really ought to be heading back," and he just starts walking in that direction. You were away about, the whole time there was maybe half an hour, or so. We'll see. So let's jump back to the office.
So, Shelley has been trying to give the impression that she is probably the most shallow creature on Earth. She's
I'd say
reached
he's quite
in, pulled out
susceptible
her
to that interpretation.
pulled out her powder, powdered her nose, primped in her little hand compact, complained about her pinchy foot. And then she keeps throwing Natalya nasty glances. And she throws a couple comments her way, like, "Oh, would you care to use any of my powder? Your nose is a bit shiny."
Natalya just kind of taps her own. I thought it was fine.
Of course you did. What he sees. Now, I will assume that there's been some time passed between here, then and now, that it's just been incredibly boring.
That depends on you. Like, I assume Thomas is... Doc, you speak for Thomas, but my assumption is... Yeah.
As you're in the room, Thomas has served you your tea and biscuits. He has poured your cups and handed them to you on little platters, little tea plates, and biscuits on the side. He has amazingly found a way to stay busy the entire time without really doing anything. He has brushed off a desk. He has readjusted some things on the desk. He has readjusted a shelf with some books.
Oh yeah,
he has
there's tons of books in here, wall to wall.
Yeah,
So
and he
there's
has
lots
made
of things
himself
to dust.
busy the entire time while not leaving at all.
If he's busy at any point in time with his back to the girls, just putting things away, or is he facing them the entire time?
Well, his back turns briefly at moments to, move something on a shelf, but never for any prolonged period. He is constantly turning and moving and doing something, which always brings you back into his line of sight.
That's fine. Shelley is just looking for an excuse to give Natalya a wink and maybe mouth, "You hate me," to her.
And there is plenty of opportunity to do that. Even with his back turned for just a few moments, gives you the chance to mouth something, such as that.
Yeah. She kind of says that at one point. Natalya will give her a nod before launching into a bit of a... Look, I don't know exactly why Thaddeus even brings you with us. I mean, you're the one with the sore feet. I just keep you company at this point.
Oh, please. Maybe if you wore some shoes that didn't make your feet look like boats, you could sympathize.
Maybe if your legs weren't weak like a goddamn giraffe's, then I wouldn't have to carry you around half the time.
And with that, Thomas, he raises an eyebrow, doesn't look at either one of you. He just raises an eyebrow, obviously hearing this, and picks the tray up off of the desk, moves it over to another counter area, sets it down, both hands on the sides of the tray, and he kind of just bends at the waist and sets it down with a little clank to make it obvious that he is still in the room.
Oh, I think we're making someone uncomfortable.
I don't care if I'm making someone uncomfortable. And she turns to Kinnery. What do you think?
And he turns to face you as you speak directly to him. He looks at you with eyebrow raised, stoned face. Think about what, ma'am?
You see this useless waif of a woman. He kind of gestures. What do you think a man sees in this?
Well, I couldn't begin to explain what I think a man sees in her, or you for that matter.
Oh, well, he might be that sort.
That sort. I do understand they were definitely stoned in my country.
And Kinnery just kind of turns around and goes back to drying the inside of the teacups.
Oh, I think my teacup's empty.
And Kinnery turns around and he has the teapot. He said, yes, well, you do seem thirsty. And he pours you some tea. Would you like anything with it? Maybe a little bit of cream? Some sugar?
No, no matter what I add to it, this British swill just... nothing helps. Why don't you have coffee in this...
Yes, well, you do seem to be the type that prefers bitter. No problem. And he goes back to the desk.
And Shelley will turn again to Natalya and just give it a little, come on gesture. Well, you have been with him longer, but I have to admit I don't see seeing you much longer.
And what exactly are you implying?
Oh, just that novelty wears off after time.
Novelty. Usually, in my country, like where I am from, people do not like people who look like Bambi. Or deer.
In your country, men prefer giraffes.
Yes, they
Well-
do prefer giraffes because they're able to defend themselves, unlike you. And she kind of steps up to Shelley.
And Shelley will stand up looking like ridiculously petite next to her, but she's holding the tea between them, and she gets right up next to Natalya, looks her in the face and says, well, the men in your country must be blind.
Why don't both of you make a perception test?
Oh, where's perception?
Oh, that's something else. It's called...
Or,
Spot
I'm
hidden.
sorry,
Spot-
spot
yeah,
hidden.
spot hidden.
I keep getting them.
Yeah.
Good, Shelley.
Shelley, with his back turned, you see Thomas Kinnery with his back facing you. You see him making some kind of movements. He's standing there, not turning around, back facing you, not turning to face you, and you see his arms moving. His arms almost pulled up to his waist, and they're moving.
His arms, okay, his back's to us.
His
and
back
he's
is to you, but you can see his arms kind of bent up towards his waist, his elbows bent up, and his arms are just moving back and forth. But you can't tell what's going on because, like I said, his back is turned towards you.
Okay, just a little more detail about this. Is he facing a surface? Could he be touching something, or is there not a surface in front of him?
Well, I mean, there are shelves and shelves in front of him, but he is not on a surface. But again, his back is to you, and you see him kind of his arms moving.
Interesting. Well, with his back to us, Shelley is going to pour the tea on herself and then shriek, "You bitch!" And then she's going to run out and she'll whisper a laugh to Natalya, and she'll just go out into the hallway and start calling for Thaddeus and, "Kinnery, get me something. I'm scalded."
You open the door and Alice is right outside the door. You actually kind of bump into her on your way out, and the two of you kind of have a surprise collision.
And as you yell, Thomas turns around, and you see in his hand he has a pencil and a notepad that he's been writing in.
And Natalya will stand there kind of smiling as she looks out to where Shelley. Well, are you going to help the waif?
And Thomas Kinnery looks somewhat surprised as you yell out, startled. So improper to just scream indoors like this.
Shelley's going to act like she's crying, but also she's going to seem like she's crying for attention. Like, it doesn't matter if it sounds fake or not. She's saying, Thaddeus, look what she did to me.
Thomas rushes over to her side. Ma'am, you must get control of yourself. Please, please, get control of yourself.
Whoa, why don't I'll pour some tea on you and see how controlled you are.
This is inappropriate. Please, ma'am. I don't know what you think you will accomplish with this.
Goddamn towel!
Yes, right away. And he turns around and goes back to the tray in the room and grabs a towel off the tray and spins back around and takes it to Shelley.
This isn't... I'm soaked. Is this all you have? She says, just kind of patting at.
Well, yes, ma'am. It is a cotton towel. What more do you need?
I'm soaked. Another towel, please. Oh, and iced you. Get some snow. Get some snow.
No. Did you...
I'm scalded, man.
Perhaps you should take her to the washroom, Mr. Kinnery.
Very well. I'll be right back in just one moment. And with that, Kinnery storms off in a huff.
If that tea really was hot, I probably did get scalded. She just did it.
It was hot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not happy about that. You're actually, you don't have to pretend to be in pain.
I thought about throwing it at Natalya, but she's big.
Yeah, that would have been a punch to the face.
Better to take the scald.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as he leaves, she hears the quick feet going away from the room. She's going to quickly look around for any maybe diaries, any notebooks that belong to Gavigan.
When Kinnery walks away, if the door's been left open, and I don't know which direction it shuts, but try to shut it a bit.
It opens inwardly, so you close it. You can shut it, certainly. I assume Alice comes in as well?
Oh yeah, she's gonna go in and start looking around really quickly as well.
Okay. Let's see. You can all three give me spot hidden checks. As well.
I'm going to stay at the door. I won't actually be looking inside the room. I'm the lookout, pretending to be burned and waiting for...
All right. The two of you can give me library use as well to kind of look through stuff. There are papers on his desk.
I'm going to push that library use if I can.
Can I push spot hidden?
You can push either, however, there can be consequences to that, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
So, go ahead, Alice, if you'd like to try your spot hidden.
I'm gonna try pushing library.
All right.
Whoops.
Good.
Oh,
You made it.
not good. I failed.
Oh, that was, yeah, okay. All right, so you've been picking through the desk, Alice, and you find a tiny key that is hidden inside a like it's actually under a lamp. So under the lamp there's this tiny little key, and it looks like it goes to the desk drawer, which is locked. So as you were kind of poking around the desk, you know, the main drawer is locked and the side drawers are locked.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the key and start trying to search the drawer.
Okay. I will allow you to make a library use roll to go through the drawer quickly. There are papers and things inside the drawer. You are not finding anything of great interest on the desk itself. They all seem like rather innocuous papers. Yes, just Alice, because she's opening the drawer and searching through it.
Crap, I'm terrible at library use. Okay,
I'll let you do spot hidden instead if you want.
that would be much better.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Can I push that?
You actually, Shelley, you can see Kinnery or hear him actually stomping in the hallway and on his way back. So you know there's not much time, and I'm assuming Shelley would call quietly, he's coming. So yes, you can push it, but if you fail this check, it is likely that he will see you. So that is your call.
She's gonna do it.
Okay.
This is the best chance she's had.
Okay. All right. You spot a telegram folded in the drawer. You quickly, you know, you're fishing through, and you kind of, it doesn't look like anything important at first, and you kind of pop it open almost accidentally, and you just glance that it is from New York. So what do you want to do?
I'm gonna take it.
Okay, so you slip that and close the drawer back up.
Close the drawer, lock it, and put the key back.
All right, make a dexterity check for me to get the door, everything locked up again fast enough. You will require. Oh my! Not only do you lock the door, but you have time to slip the key back under the lamp. And you're on your way back around the desk when Kinnery comes in. Mr. Kinnery, I would like you to make a spot hidden check. I'll actually do it secretly. Okay.
Yeah, you can whisper that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Kinnery walks back in, and he kind of glances in as he's walking in, and he immediately goes to Shelley. Ma'am, here's your ice. Are you hurt?
Well, yes, quite badly. And she'll take the ice and apply it. You know, I'm assuming it's in some sort of a cloth, you know, or is it just loose? Anyway, she'll wrap it in.
He brought an ice bucket and has already wrapped it in a cloth with more ice in the bucket.
so nice. You don't know what I have to put up with.
Yes, well, I wouldn't expect any less from a Yank. Here's more ice in the bucket, and he kind of shoves the bucket towards her. Miss Hall, are you okay? Do you need any assistance of any kind?
Oh, she was looking for another towel, but you're right. There's not another one.
I'm quite alright. I was originally coming to ask you for some assistance, but I see you have your hands full.
Yes, well... Let me... and he looks flustered. His face is starting... His cheeks are starting to turn red. And he's looking around the room.
And
let me find Mr. Gavigan and Mr. Pepin.
He says, "No need, Thomas. Here we are." And he strides into the scene.
Shelley will just go throw herself at Thaddeus and start sobbing into his shoulder.
Gavigan looks rather nonplussed, and he says, I see things fell apart a bit while we were gone, eh, Thomas?
Oh my.
Yes, well, it seems the young woman burnt herself on some tea arguing with the other young woman.
I didn't burn myself. She did it on purpose.
No, this is exactly what Mr. Kinnery said. She accidentally threw it.
No.
Gavigan kind of turns to Thaddeus and says, "I do hope you're not planning to take them with you on your expedition."
But what would he do without us?
Much better.
He'd probably accomplish something.
But he wouldn't have any fun.
Yes.
You Americans, this is what passes for fun there, is it? Curious place.
Oh, you Brits don't know anything about fun.
Kinnery turns to Gavigan. This is a circus, sir.
Indeed. Mr. Pepin, if you don't mind, I think perhaps it's time for this circus to come to an end.
Yes, I do apologize for their behavior. And he's going to glance a stern look at Shelley and Natalya.
Yes, well, shall I show you out? Have you spoken sufficiently to Mr. Gavigan, Mr. Pepin?
Gavigan says, "Oh, we have quite exhausted our topic of conversation, Thomas."
Understood,
Yes.
sir. Yes, Mr. Pepin. Let me please show you and your guests out.
That would be appreciated.
And Thomas walks out and walks back into the entrance room, grabs his coat, throws it around his shoulders, and yells from down the hall, "Please, sir, this way. Keep up, please."
Is Alice leaving with them, or is she staying?
She's saying,
Okay.
And Natalya looks to Alice. I guess nice to see you again, Miss Hill.
"Oh,
Anyway. Yes, that. She'll turn around. Do you need me to carry you, Shelley? I will try not to drop you this time.
I think I'll do better on my own. You're gonna replace my dress, aren't you, Thaddeus?
Yes, we will get you a brand new dress. And he's gonna put his arm around her, kind of console her.
Alice, you can
Mr. Pepin, the door is open.
Alice, you can see Gavigan just kind of breathing in a somewhat exasperated way and rolls his eyes, and he mumbles Americans under his breath.
and you wanted me to travel with them, Mr. Gavigan?"
Well, he says, I doubt that expedition is ever going to take wing, Alice.
I think not. Perhaps I will wait for more suitable one to come along. Hopefully it won't be too much longer.
Indeed.
Mr. Pepin,
He's-
please, sir.
He says, Alice, if you wouldn't mind, I was thinking of closing up the foundation a little early today.
Oh,
Since you're the only guest, would it be possible for you to come back another time?
of course, I can return another day. Would you like me to go and return my books to their positions?
Oh, no, Thomas can take care of that, can't you, Thomas?
Yes, sir. As he's down the hall, you call out to him. Yes, sir, I will take care of that, of course. Miss Hall, just meet with me afterwards, please.
After you clean the books?
After I show these folks out.
Absolutely.
Mr. Pepin?
They've already left, have they not?
I'm assuming we already went
Yeah,
down.
they've already gone through the door.
Okay,
Yes,
they didn't make that obvious to me, sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe we were lingering to be annoying.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Gavigan says, oh, no, just, do you have your coat, Miss Hall? Thomas, fetch your
Yes.
coat, if you would.
Yes, sir, of course. And he goes to grab your coat and bring it to you.
Thank you, Mr. Kinneray. Next time I'm here, I do hope that you'll be available to help me search for some books. As you said, Mr. Gavigan, perhaps a second set of eyes will shed some light on some things.
And when you say that, Mr. Kinnery puts his hand out. I understand you have a list for me.
Yes, I was bringing it up to see if you could help me look. And she'll pull out a little piece of paper with a list of some of the books that she's kind of been looking for.
His hand is still held out.
Yeah, she puts it in your hand.
Thank you very much, Miss Hall. I will get right on it. And he, without even looking at the list, he just puts it inside of his coat pocket.
Thank you. Mr. Gavigan, I do hope you have a relaxing rest of your evening.
Oh, I do hope so, too. I intend to take some time at the club. I've earned it. And he chuckles, and he kind of puts his arm on your shoulder, which he very rarely does, and kind of guides you towards the door, and says, would you like me to fetch you a cab, Miss Hall?
That would be very helpful. I imagine I'm just going to go home, but it is a few blocks away.
Yes, it's rather slippery out. It wouldn't do to have you slip and fall. So he actually walks you out to the gate and kind of and on the way out, he just says, I'm very sorry about the disturbance this afternoon. I hope it didn't interfere with your studies.
A little, but I'll have plenty of opportunity to study more in the future.
I'm sure you will.
I hope you enjoyed the club.
Oh, I always do. And he raises his hand, and a cab does pull over, and he helps you into it. And he says, well, I wish you a very pleasant evening, Miss Hall. And he gives the cabbie your address.
Oh shit, he knows where I live? Okay.
And then he turns and and when he said that, he then turned and smiled at you, and then turned and walked away. Turned back in and closed up the gate behind him as the cab pulls away.
Okay.
So once we got out, we didn't know that Alice was coming out right away. Where would we have gotten a cab back to the hotel?
I'm assuming so. That would make sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And approximately what time would it be right now?
It's probably about 4 o'clock. Maybe only 3. It wasn't that long. You spent a fair amount of time at the records office, though.
Shelley is still applying ice. That tea was actually quite hot.
I do hope you're okay. That looked very painful.
Well, sacrifices must be made. Weren't we talking earlier today about taking risks?
Yes, and the great risk of tea will be remembered for quite a while.
She chuckles and then winces a little bit.
If you need me to actually carry you, that would be fine.
That's alright. I mostly just got my upper thighs, I think. Did you and Alice find anything?
I think Alice found a drawer of sorts. I don't know if she found anything inside, but we can ask her.
Oh, the suspense. I wonder how much longer she'll be.
It's not very long at all. I assume you're just going back to the hotel room?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I assume, Alice, you arrive at the hotel room not very long after.
Sounds good.
And Natalia's kind of mixed herself a drink at this point. And, straight vodka mix. I guess as Alice comes in, she'll perk up. Alice!
Hello. That was quite a distraction.
Yes, I do have to commend Shelley. She's very quick on her feet.
Oh, well, Mr. Kennery seemed quite determined to stay with us.
Yes, he was annoying.
Fortunately, he didn't expect much of us, so it was easy to live up to those expectations.
Yes, men usually don't. So, Alice, did you find anything?
I found this, and she's gonna pull out the, it was a message to New York, right? Not from?
From New York.
Yeah.
You just,
gonna...
actually, you saw New York on the telegram. You're not even sure whether it's to or from, and you didn't have much time, so you just grabbed it.
Yeah, she'll pull that out. I found this. I didn't have time to look it over. Oh. As she looks at it, after pulling it out, Mr. Pepin, it seems it is about you.
Yes. It does seem that it is.
What does it say?
Mr. Pepin, I believe you will understand this more than I will. And she's gonna hand it to him.
Well, apparently he knows. If he got to read this, if not, then it don't matter. But he would know that we were working against him, and that the woman with me is blessed. And you look at Natalya.
Well, go ahead.
Natalia will. Yeah, she'll pale a bit at the mention of that and put down her drink, shooting back the rest. Oh, God.
Makanga.
Does that name sound familiar to us?
I
feel
don't
like it's-
believe it does, but
No.
Is this Makanga one of those cultists from the basement?
I don't remember. I don't know if they gave names.
They never... I suppose he knew I was there. But he only speaks of one woman. Is it... It's possible, I suppose, they didn't know that I was even there that night.
Yes, it's very possible.
So... Mr. Gavigan has to be wondering which of us that telegraph was referring to.
Oh, Talia kind of pauses, pouring herself another drink. This is bad.
At the very least, we know Mr. Gavigan is involved now. For sure.
Yes, and I think he was bound to find out, and it's better to know.
Yes,
Of course.
I'm at least glad we've confirmed that. But this, well, this at least confirms that we are a problem. Might not be the best. That's probably why he's been so friendly to Mr. Pepin. Trying to figure out what they're doing exactly. What is this club? Wait, hold up. Scratch that. So,
Yeah, you didn't
No.
hear that
yeah,
part.
that's what I'm like, scratch that.
I was going to stay a bit longer. However, Mr. Gavigan asked if I could leave early, as he was wanting to close the foundation and go to the club.
Well, this is Sunday.
It is, yes. Do I know what club he's talking about?
you can attempt an intelligence check to have noticed or, come across that in conversation at some point. It will be a hard check. So no, you don't know. You do know that he likes to frequent a club. You don't know which one.
Okay.
And you have seen that when he leaves, he walks there.
I know he walks to wherever he goes, but I'm not sure where.
Maybe we can... Maybe we can get Ginnery alone at some point. Shake him down.
Was he writing something down?
Yes, he was transcribing our...
I hope he finds it enlightening.
Yes, I do hope so.
Well, now perhaps that he knows that we are trying to stop him. Perhaps we should see what the demeanor of Detective Barrington would be like when we come to him.
Yes, we should see. I don't know if Barrington's actually a part of it or if he's, again, an idiot.
Well, let's hope he's an idiot, and that way he will believe us even more when we ask him for his help.
I can attempt to at least, if we question him on maybe investigator, a Mundan, see if he will divulge any details, but I'll ask Alan about the homeless man's death and the Mundan's disappearance at the same time. See if there's any connection.
What do you think about showing Detective Barrington that telegraph? It's very incriminating.
Incriminating to what exactly? There's just says that Pepin has caused problems. I don't think there's any real reason. He might just think we're troublemakers.
It's true, but it does say working against us. Makes one wonder who. I don't know. Maybe as last resort, but I suggest we hold on to that.
True.
I mean, at least gauge his reaction when he sees it, right?
We can try. He'll most likely brush it off.
The telegraph does refer to one of us as blessed. Sounds kind of cultish.
Yes. Natalya takes another drink.
Perhaps instead of showing him the telegraph, we can simply say this word at the end. See if he reacts to it. Say we came across it in our investigation.
Well, it no matter if he sees it or not. If he's working with Gavigan, then it won't matter, because he will already know.
I'm going to call a brief intermission, and we will return.
Oh.
I'm glad you found that, Alice, so I didn't
Yup.
for nothing.
Oh,
No, that's something we needed to...
And we are back. And back in your hotel room.
Natalya just sits there, swirling her glass. She looks to be deep in thought. And she takes another drink. If this all connects back to Gavigan, if it's the same group, like what I was saying with they're all connected. If this is the one that Elias was running from here. The one committing the murders. If we plan on stopping it, Gavigan's the key to at least finding where they are, finding out more about it.
I think you're right.
I
Follow Gavigan and we find whatever's going on here in London at least.
Exactly. Whatever. Maybe where he's going. Maybe that is the group. If it's close to the library. Or to the foundation, I should say. We should... At City Hall, maybe we should check in to see... Oh, there's so many buildings within walking distance.
Yes, but perhaps these gentlemen, this kind of establishment might be noticeable, have some sort of masculine sort of a name on the exterior, stag's heads or something, and I'm assuming that it's at least the front of it is going to appear to be some sort of cigar and brandy gentleman's club.
Yes, maybe even we could look around the area during the day. See if we can find anything. Then again, they might not have any sort of advertisement up front. But I think looking into nearby, if we can look at City Hall. Yes, if we can look at City Hall, then maybe we can find records of a gentleman's club or something like that, or at least a more detailed map of the area.
Thaddeus could even ask the concierge here.
Good idea. He's a very helpful concierge. Natalya looks over to Thaddeus. Do you want to do that now? I think Thaddeus is deep in drink.
I'm sorry, no, I'm having audio issues. What was that?
Do you want to go downstairs and ask the concierge about any nearby gentlemen's clubs? Within walking distance?
Yes, I could do that.
Okay. The concierge is very happy to help. He does warn you that all of these clubs in London are members-only clubs. So you would have to find a member to invite you in. But if you're just curious to go and take a look, or if you're interested in a membership, he says there are. He considers there to be 3 clubs within walking distance of this general area, gentlemen's clubs. The first is Parsons, the second is the Diamond Back Club, and the third is the Claremont Riding Club.
I would, of course, come back and share that information.
The Diamondback Club. That's where Mr. Gavigan was attacked. Oh, I should have put that together.
That is Shelley. And Natalya's actually going to put down the drink and kind of go up to Shelley. Seems to be smiling as she grabs her shoulder. You are an absolute genius.
Maybe. But thanks. Never. Just a good memory, I guess.
Apparently. It's perfect. I don't know if we should. She looks back to that. I don't know if we should go tonight. If he's going to be there, maybe we can sneak in.
There may be something going on tonight. Potentially. If he's going there. I don't know. It might be dangerous.
Maybe we could just situate ourselves somewhere where we could see who comes and goes.
Yeah. Maybe, she kind of pauses for a moment. But there's Alan. Oh, shit. But maybe we could at least watch the doors, I don't know, follow, see who enters and everything, and once it is done, I don't know exactly where Mr. Gavigan lives. But if we get him alone, I mean, they do not seem to be that powerful just on their own. They're more powerful in numbers.
Well, I think that's not a bad plan.
Alice, you do not know where Gavigan lives. He has never mentioned it to you, nor has he ever invited you to his place, wherever that is. So it's just never come up, and you've never before been curious to know, honestly, I would think.
Yep, that makes sense.
I might see if I can have a rain check with Alan. This is a bit more important.
it's simply watching a door, then I'm sure we can handle it, just the three of us. You can go on your date.
She looks to the rest. Are you sure? I don't want anything happening to any of you. Just don't go towards them at all. If you get spotted, leave. I'll see if we can be nearby. If there's a nearby restaurant, I'll see if I can suggest it.
Yes, if we could find a restaurant for you to meet Alan that had a window facing the club would be perfect.
Yes. Yes, let's do that. Yes, let's maybe we should ask the concierge again to see if there's a restaurant near the Diamondback Club. Or we could just go near there. I don't know.
Do I know much about that area?
Again, I'll let you make an intelligence check. Yeah, you know the area a little bit. As it happens, you have walked past the Diamondback Club a few times, never taking much notice of it, but you know where it is. And there is a restaurant, not exactly across the street, but close enough that you could see the door from it, you think, if you had a window seat.
There's a restaurant near the Diamondback. It's not directly across the street, but if you can get a window seat, then I'm sure you'll be able to see the front door.
Perfect. That'll be good.
Well, if it's exclusive, perhaps we should make reservations.
At the restaurant?
Yes.
Good idea. 2 separate reservations. For the 3 of you and Alan and I.
That's something the concierge can handle.
Perfect.
I'll ask the concierge if he knows where I could find some opera glasses.
Maybe a fan too.
He kind of twists his face a moment in thought. Why don't you can try either an appearance check or a charm check. Your choice. Shelley.
Yeah, sorry, I was checking to look at my stats
okay.
real quick.
He says it could be a bit tricky at this hour, but he says he has an idea, and he asks when you need them by.
As soon as possible.
He asks you if 6 o'clock would be early enough. That's 2 hours from. That's a little over 2 hours from now.
I look at everyone else. Is that going to be too late?
No, I think if we can have reservations for 10 after 6, that'd be perfect. Alan is coming at 6, so...
Okay. Shelley, make a luck roll.
Sorry, I'm looking for it on here. It's one of the stats. I keep forgetting.
Yeah. Oh, he actually has them by 5 for you. It only takes him a little over an hour. He seems rather pleased with himself.
Oh, you are a miracle worker. Thank you so much. I can't see the the shows as well as my friends.
And
I don't like to wear glasses.
he hands the bill to Thaddeus, of course.
Yes, yes. Look at the room.
Yes.
Shelley is going to reach into her purse. She usually doesn't, pay for things, but she's going to leave him a good tip.
He is very pleased, and says, I thank you very much, milady.
Oh no, I thank you. You've been so helpful since we came.
He says, I do try, and smiles. He says, would you be planning to go to the opera this evening by any chance? And obviously he thinks he's being very clever. He says, I may just be able to secure you a seat somewhere.
Oh, well, I think Mr. Thaddeus already has tickets. But thank you so much.
Of course, of course.
Thanks so much again. We really must speak to the manager about this helpful man before we...
You see he's trying to conceal a smile, but he's obviously pleased with the statement.
All right, well, she'll make her goodbyes.
All right. So shall we assume you swing by the Scoop and pick up Alan and then go to the restaurant?
I thought Alan was coming to the Ritz.
Oh, he's coming to the Ritz. Okay, that's
yes.
right. Okay. He was supposed to come at 6. It is 6 and he is not there.
Oh. How far away is the Scoop?
The Scoop is quite a bit of ways. It's let's see, it's a good it's a couple miles away.
Oh, okay. We're gonna wait until, the last minutes before they have to head out towards their to their reservation. See if he's gonna come.
You wanted a reservation for 6:15, so you really don't have much time.
Yeah. She'll leave a message then with a concierge.
Okay.
If he comes, basically saying where she is.
Okay. Sounds good.
And yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah, he does not make it, so you guys go without him. And let's see. Hold on just a minute. Okay, so you go to the pub, or sorry, the restaurant rather, and there you are. And you'll need to get a window seat. So somebody make a luck check.
Shelley, you're on fire. Or someone is.
I can make one.
Okay. Do it up.
I think my luck is good.
I get a 51.
I don't even know my
Go
luck
for it.
is. Do it. Roll it.
Nice. There
Nice.
happens to be a window seat available. It's not extremely crowded on a Sunday, oddly enough. So you do get a seat and can see out the window, and you can see the Diamondback Club. There is what you assume to be a rattlesnake as the sort of sigil of the club.
Well, as we sit there, Shelley will take turns passing off the opera glasses. What? And ask Natalya what she thinks happened to Alan.
You can see Natalya's kind of put out. She's ordered a few drinks. She's a hand on the table. She seems a little bit upset. I'm not sure. I'm pretty disappointed, to be honest.
Well, I hope he just had a last-minute deadline.
Yeah, well, he's a journalist. He knows how to write. He could have written a letter or something.
Well, it's better that you figure out his true colors before you get too involved.
Yeah, I have the good luck with men, so... Yeah, you're right, Thaddeus. It's definitely better to figure this out early. She's gonna take a deep drink.
Okay, so you guys sit and watch. There's a little bit of in and out activity at the... I shouldn't say in and out activity. There is some activity at the door of people going in and out of the Diamondback Club. I would ask each of you to make a spot hidden check for me, just to give me an idea of how well you are spotting. Nice. Okay, good. Okay, it is
Thaddeus.
about... Thaddeus, yes. Does
Make your roll,
Thaddeus
Thaddeus.
deign to take a check? He may not even take a turn. He may be busy.
Oh,
Yep,
he's
no.
busy drinking.
It's about halfway into your watching that Alan comes in. Bit snow-covered, stomps his feet, takes his coat off, and looks around, and doesn't see you at first, Natalya. He's kind of scanning and scanned right past you and is looking about.
Yeah, Natalya gets up from her seat, and you can see there's this grin on her face.
And he kind of and kind of raises his hand like he's and you can see his hand is bandaged. And he kind of comes over and he says, "Oh, terribly sorry. He says, "I ran into a spot of trouble this afternoon." He says, "I didn't see you here. Is it double date? Is it to be?" He kind of sees everyone else and.
Oh. Well, I was a bit concerned that you had abandoned me, so my friends were kind enough to...
Abandon you? Good heavens, no. He comes over and gives you a quick kiss on the cheek.
I am happy you showed up. Just to clarify, did he come out of the gentleman's club?
Oh, no.
Okay, good. If you'd like, either you can sit with us or we can go to another table.
He says, I don't mind meeting your friends if you want, but also wouldn't complain about a private table if you'd rather. It's getting a little crowded. He looks around. It may be hard to find a seat now.
Well, we can sit here and afterwards we can go on the walk.
Sounds lovely.
And she kind of looks down. So, what happened to your hand?
Oh, I was just helping a friend move some furniture and got it caught between the door and the dresser.
Yes, it does happen sometimes. Of course, you have met Miss Hall, Shelley, and Mr. Pepin.
No, we didn't really make as much of an impression as Natalya.
No,
Pleasure to meet you again.
It's all right. It's all right. Ah, nice to meet you. And he puts his hand. It's his right hand, so he puts it out to shake, and he says, "Well, that'll teach me for working on the Sabbath, eh?" And he just kind of takes his hand back.
Oh, you were helping a friend. That hardly counts.
But we try to be good Catholics, don't we?
Yes. If you want something to drink, I'll pretty deep myself.
He winks at Shelley and says, "If I want something to drink." I thought you knew me a little better than that, Nat. He puts his good hand up and orders a drink, some whiskey. He says, "Screw the gin tonight. I want a good whiskey." Earned it.
Well, you'll have to forgive us. We're playing a rather tacky game. We're watching to see how many of London's upper crust enter the club over there.
He kind of looks curiously at what you're doing and sees the opera glasses and then kind of figures out what you're saying, and he just kind of chuckles. And he says, "You must be a mite bored then."
Well, it is Sunday. What else is there to do?
Oh, you could go dancing for one thing.
I think it's an American practice.
I suppose. Yeah, English consider it rather nosy.
I think they consider many things rather nosy.
Aye, that they do. So, what did you do with your day, Nat?
Oh,
You and your friends have a good time?
Yes, we had some very interesting, breakthroughs. You know what we were talking about a couple days ago.
So they're all helping you with it, eh?
Yes.
I see.
We've made some interesting discoveries at this point.
Really?
Yes,
That was quick.
Well, it might not be the best method, but we have our ways of getting information.
Oh dear, I'd like to hear about those methods.
It involves spilling tea on oneself and making a scene. Goes with Shelley.
Good heavens.
Americans, we do have odd hobbies.
It seems like an awful lot of work to... Well, what did you find out?
Well, you know we were discussing about these, let's see, Mr. Barrington taking over the case, and who was that, the investigator who took over again? Munden.
Oh yeah, sure.
Well, I was wondering if you remembered at all. The homeless man that was killed, that was out of the ordinary. Approximately when did that happen?
Oh, I'd have to look at the papers again. My recollection is was about, I don't know, maybe 12, 13 months ago.
And when did the Munden get switched onto the case? Or sorry, when did the Munden get switched off the case and it was Barrington's?
Oh, I don't remember right off. I think it was maybe a year and a half ago. No, I guess it was about the same time.
She kind of points at Alan. You know, it is strange that Mr. Munden disappears off the case. And suddenly this homeless man is murdered. And there's no records at City Hall of Mundan's passing or anything like that?
Well, I got the impression from the police that there was some sort of impropriety going on.
Impropriety. Do you don't know exactly what happened to Mundan afterwards, yes?
Well, that was the whole thing. There was something up with his wife, and she weren't too happy about it. There was something the police weren't telling me. They knew something about his disappearance.
I
Wouldn't budge, couldn't get any of them to talk, but I could see they were hiding something.
do have a feeling that it might be that I don't want to say that police are hiding anything, of course. Don't want to imply that, but...
Well, they can hide whatever they want, I guess.
True. But it is interesting that this very, what's the word? Kind of off the beaten killing path that the Egyptian murders are going on. Mandan just gets kicked off the case and this homeless man gets killed.
Well, what I understand, he wasn't kicked off the case. He up and left.
I still think maybe I'm reading into it too much and she'll take another
Well,
drink.
He says,
Oh,
oh no, I
maybe.
think you're right to be suspicious. There was definitely something there. They just wouldn't tell me anything. I couldn't get any of them to crack. And I tried. I could smell there was a story there, something going on they didn't want me to know about.
Yes, there are many. We're actually going up to speak to someone a bit north, seeing if they know anything else. But if they do, I'll let you know.
Okay. You know I'm always looking for a good story.
Of course. And if we find anything, I'd be happy to provide you with said story.
He takes a drink and kind of winks and he says, you don't really need a story to see me though. You can see me anytime you want.
The story is bonus. Seeing is the primary.
And he seems to maybe notice the rest of you again for a moment, and just he kind of sits back and orders another drink.
Shelley's been just giving a kind of trying not to smile at the back and forth, but after it, Alan is looking around at them again. She gives a polite cough. Pardon me, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. Do you...
Really?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it's a date. I was just wondering if Inspector Mundan's wife, do you know if she still lives in London?
He shrugs. He says, I suppose she would.
Interesting.
I dropped it a year ago when I could see I wasn't going to get any answers. I don't waste time banging my head against a brick wall over and over.
Did you ever speak with her?
I tried. She wouldn't talk to me.
Would you mind telling us where she lived?
Sure. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I can sure look it up. I'm sure I got it in my notes. Come by the office tomorrow. Be a good excuse to see you, Nat. He smiled. He says, I can dig that up for you, I'm sure.
I would be happy to come by tomorrow.
He says, geez, I've never been treated to so many chaperones in my life.
Well, I'm not your mother. Have you
no,
seen
you're far
anyone
too young
interesting?
to be my
Alice?
mother. Sorry?
Well, I hope so. If you thought otherwise, that would That would disappoint me. Alice, have you seen anyone interesting?
Have I seen anyone interesting?
You have not. Although when she asks that very question, that is the moment you see Gavigan emerge from the club and kind of wrap a scarf around his neck, and with his umbrella start walking down the street away from your direction.
Mr. Gavigan just left.
Oh, shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Shelley bites her lip and she looks over at Alan. And then she looks over at Natalya.
He kind of, his face looks like he's like, did I miss something?
Well, I don't think there's any harm in telling him.
Alan, we need to know where this man is going. And she points out the window.
He kind of looks down that way curiously. It's kind of hard to see too many details now. He says, all right.
It's Mr. Gavigan of the Penhew Foundation.
Ah, I see.
But he knows who we are. She just gives him a look.
I'm not having...
No.
We can work together, but I'm not... No.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah.
all right then. I suppose we all have coats and hats.
Maybe Ellen and I can, and you stay here, and...
Yes, I think that'll be less noticeable. Good idea.
Yes.
Go. We'll take care of the bill.
Okay, Alan, we're going for a walk.
I see. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you all.
Go!
He kind of seems a little flustered and grabs his coat. And you guys head out. And that is where we will stop.
No!
Yay.
No!